back at it again here on Philadelphia Eagles Now. Hope you're all having a fantastic day. And as always, thank you so much for supporting the channel and making today's show a part of your day. The Eagles are back on the practice field. How awesome is that? And their defense of Super Bowl 59. It continues right now because OTAs are underway. So coming up here on today's show, takeaways, news, roster battles, notes, who was there, who wasn't, who could get traded. It's all coming your way. Now, it was raining in the Philadelphia area today, and so the Eagles did practice indoors inside the Eagles practice bubble. Looks a little bit different now. How beautiful is that sight? A new mural inside the practice bubble commemorating the 2017 Super Bowl championship team, Super Bowl 52. That's when the Eagles took down Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, and the New England Patriots. And then the Super Bowl from February, down in the Big Easy in New Orleans, as the Eagles annihilated the Kansas City Chiefs in Super Bowl 59. I was also thinking about this the other day. What an iconic Super Bowl history the Eagles have and championship history throughout the course of their organization. They gave Vince Lombardi his only playoff loss that he suffered as a coach in the NFL. That's when the Eagles won the 1960 NFL championship. That was before there was a Super Bowl. Then the Eagles took down Brady and Belichick, and then in February, they took down Mahomes and Reed. Pretty awesome, and cool idea by the Eagles, because when you put a mural up there like that on the practice field, it sets the standard, and it sets the tone and the expectations for what is expected for the Philadelphia Eagles. Championship culture. As for the notable Eagles not there on the practice field and not seen. And of course, OTAs does stand for organized team activities, so it is voluntary. Mandatory minicamp is coming up here in several days, but no Devontae Smith, Lane Johnson, Reed Blankenship, Avery Williams, and Bryce Huff. For Smith, Johnson, and Blankenship, it's fine, right? They are seasoned veterans at this point. Of course, all of those players, veterans to a different level. Lane Johnson's been in the league for a very long time, more than a decade. But Devontae Smith has proven himself. Reed Blankenship has as well. And of note, the Eagles did put out a practice video from Tuesday, May 27th. Blankenship was on the field, so maybe he just wasn't there today. Avery Williams, kind of wanted to see him on the field to see how the Eagles plan on utilizing him. He's an offensive gadget weapon, and he figures to be the punt returner and the kick returner. Has a lot of ability there, and the Eagles moved off of Britton Covey. The big name here is Bryce Huff. And when Bryce Huff gets $34 million in guaranteed money, last free agency, and then he plays poorly, and Vic Fangio never trusted him. And then from the midway point on, he was pretty much a non-factor, and he was forgotten about. He was a healthy scratch in the Super Bowl. And then there are trade rumors swirling around your name. Your absence weighs heavily. And it leads to a lot of conversations and a lot of talk about a potential trade. Is Bryce Huff not there because the Eagles were trying to work out a deal? Is he unhappy with his situation? But that's what not going to OTAs does translate to. And so when trade rumors are swirling, the absence for Bryce Huff is interesting, and we'll continue to monitor that. Remember James Bradbury last year? He wasn't there at OTAs. He attended training camp, but then he never played another game for the Philadelphia Eagles. He got hurt, but a very similar situation for a player who was out of the rotation the year prior, not at OTAs, and the Eagles are like, okay, we're just going to be moving on. We'll see what happens with Huff. As for the Eagles injury report, no Nakobe Dean. Continues to come off of that patellar tendon injury. I did do a long-form video on him a little bit earlier. It's up on the channel, so check that out. There's a lot of good news on the Nakobe Dean front. He's looking pretty good in trying to come off a very difficult and complex injury. Jahad Campbell not practicing, still dealing with that shoulder injury, labrum surgery that he had to get prior to the draft. Landon Dickerson with that hip that was a little bit problematic in the playoff run. Cam Jurgens still coming off that back injury. No Ben Van Sumeren. The Eagles have plans for him at fullback, and then he can play a little bit of linebacker in on special teams. A.J. Brown resting. Saquon Barkley resting. No surprises there. Those are veterans who are arguably the best players at their respective positions. Nolan Smith was on the practice field, as we talked about a little bit earlier. Tore his triceps in the Super Bowl, had a big bulky brace on that bad arm, but he was out there, he was smiling, and he was bringing the energy. As for some roster alignment, roster battles type stuff, let's get into that next. The off-ball inside linebackers during 7-on-7s. Zach Bond, who got a bag in free agency, and without Nakobe Dean, without Jahad Campbell, it was Axeman Jr., Jeremiah Trotter Jr., flanking Zach Bond at that off-ball linebacker spot. The secondary battles here are pretty interesting. The secondary in 7-on-7s, Cooper DeJean inside at nickel, Quinyon Mitchell and free agent acquisition Adoree Jackson on the outside, with Sidney Brown and Andrew Makuba at safety because of no Reed Blankenship there. The Eagles' base defense, Cooper DeJean, was getting some first-team reps at outside corner. He said after practice, I'll play anywhere that I need to play. Did that at Iowa. More on that in a moment. Quinyon Mitchell was also on the other side. And then in some of the other nickel looks, you had Adoree Jackson coming in there. Keely Ringo was playing some outside corner. Eli Ricks wasn't well at that right corner spot. And then how about this? Lewis Seen, former first-round pick out of Georgia by the Vikings, who the Eagles signed late last year, was getting some first-team reps at safety. So too was Andre Sam, a UDFA out of LSU from a couple of years ago. And then with Cooper DeJean, it's one of the things that we've been talking about here on the show. What are the Eagles' plans for him with Darius Slay moving on? And at that outside corner spot, you could go with DeJean, who played a lot of outside corner while at Iowa, and Iowa used him all across the defensive formation. Outside corner, inside corner, around the box, defensive line, played one snap at deep safety, 4.4 speed, a relative athletic score of nearly 9.9. Crazy vertical leap. So he has the speed and the athleticism to play that outside corner spot. I kind of like him on the inside because then you can use him in a variety of ways. At outside corner, sometimes he gets a little bit handsy because his catch-up speed sometimes can be a little bit slow. But he did say, again, after practice, I'll play anywhere. I think he's better suited on the inside, and then you can tap in his versatility. I think that benefits and helps your defense out a little bit more. But the Eagles so far, at least now, giving him some first-team reps at outside corner. That's something, too, that we'll continue to monitor here. The training camp battles. Seems like we're going to see a battle for who is going to take over for Darius Slay. Quinyon Mitchell is going to be the one outside corner. Who's going to be the other one? Well, today, Adoree Jackson, Keely Ringo, Eli Ricks, all getting some snaps there, and then the aforementioned Cooper DeJean too. One thing that really stands out about Keely Ringo, I've talked about this a lot, it's the height, more than 6 feet, it's the weight, more than 200 pounds, and the speed that goes with that. 4.3 640-yard dash in the pre-draft process. Likes to play a physical brand of football, and we're showing you some pictures from practice today. Keely Ringo is towering over the other cornerbacks on that team. He was also leading the huddle. So trying to take on some more leadership duties going into year 3 with Slay across the state in Pittsburgh. Andrew Makuba is a player who weighed in lighter, but here, and according to those who were watching the practice, he doesn't look that small. Like sometimes players look small. Andrew Makuba doesn't look small. On the scale, he might appear to be small, but doesn't look or play in that manner. And another player who looked bigger and kind of shorter and stockier, Antoine Powell-Ryland. Looking a little bit in the build of a Brandon Graham, and Antoine Powell-Ryland, who the Eagles took out of Virginia Tech, one of the most productive defensive ends in college football the last couple of years. The Eagles' first-string offensive line at OTAs, Jordan Mailata, the mainstay at left tackle, with no Landon Dickerson at left guard. Matt Pryor played there. With no Cam Jurgens, Brett Toth was at center, not the rookie Drew Kendall. Tyler Steen was the right guard, and then Darian Kennard in there for Lane Johnson at right tackle. Jalen Hurts today, a crisp day, very efficient. And there weren't a lot of vertical routes. A lot of the routes were horizontal, crossers, some double moves. I kind of like that because the Eagles haven't always targeted the middle area of the field with Kellen Moore, with Brian Johnson, with Shane Steichen, with Nick Sirianni calling the plays. Kevin Patullo's putting his fingerprints on this offense. And Hurts today, 20 of 21, no touchdowns, no picks, a B-plus grade from Elliott Shore-Parks. It's funny. He's been doing this for years, friend of the show. Shout out ESP, 94 WIP. And now you see beat writers and beat reporters and people who cover teams across the NFL starting to document OTA and training camp stats. And it all started with ESP. What a trendsetter right there. Darius Cooper, UDFA wide receiver out of Tarleton State. In the build of an A.J. Brown, they had similar pre-draft testing numbers. He was one of the top wide receivers at the FCS level last year. One of the highlight plays of the day. He caught a 30-plus yard touchdown right in stride from Tanner McKee. He beat fellow UDFA B.J. Mays down the sideline. Both those players trying to make an early impression, trying to crack this Eagles roster. He's like 6 foot, 220 pounds, runs a 4.5, that 40-yard dash similar to A.J. Brown's, the weight similar to A.J. Brown's, the vertical, the broad jump, all of those numbers similar to A.J. So interesting to see how Darius Cooper getting off to a good start. Dorian Thompson-Robinson was QB3 today. Kyle McCord, the rookie 6th-round pick out of Syracuse, New Jersey native, went to St. Joe's Prep in Philly. He was QB4. Not a lot of snaps for DTR or Kyle McCord. Jalen Hurts and Tanner McKee getting a majority of those snaps at QB1 and QB2. Jahan Dotson catching a couple of passes from Jalen Hurts. As we know, last year he was seldom used in this Eagles offense. Without A.J. Brown, without Devontae Smith, Dotson able to link up a couple of times with Jalen Hurts. ESP back at it with some of the notable Eagles OTA stats today. Goddard, 5 catches on 6 targets. Will Shipley, 5 catches on 5 targets. Jahan Dotson, here we have him, 3 catches, 3 targets. A.J. Dillon with the catch, and then Terrace Marshall with a couple of catches as well. And then more stuff from Kevin Patullo. We talked about him a little bit earlier today. This coming from John Clark. Eagles' new offensive coordinator, Kevin Patullo, says there will be some new wrinkles with the offense, but they will build on doing what the players do best. And he says he will keep the verbiage the same, that Eagles language, keeping some continuity. Brian Baldinger, he's always supporting the Birds, man, in the Philadelphia area. Works out at Lane Johnson's home gym a lot. We love Baldy. He said, and he put out a video, Quinyon Mitchell's feet don't lie. He never stopped working on his footwork for a 90-minute OTA session today. Amazing to watch. The Eagles really got Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean in back-to-back picks to rebuild their secondary in the 2024 draft. Both starters for this Eagles #1 overall defense that won the Super Bowl. Howie Roseman in his bag. Dallas Goedert speaking publicly today for the first time since redoing and reworking that contract down from $14 million to $10 million. He thought at moments this offseason he thought he could get let go. He thought he could get traded. He just wanted to come back at a number where he felt respected and valued. He feels respected and valued by the Philadelphia Eagles. He's glad that him and the organization were able to figure something out. He said he wants to end his career with the Philadelphia Eagles, and obviously he's back for 2025, and I think it's best for all parties, as I've continued to say. Goddard is great for the Eagles are great for Goddard, and the Eagles as a football unit are better with number 88 on the field and on that offense. Be sure to give me a follow on X and Instagram, by the way, in addition to all of the content and coverage right here on YouTube and talking about the Birds. I also do that on my social media pages, trying to grow the personal platforms over there at Chase_Senior on X and IG, reaching millions and millions of people. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button, man. It's Philadelphia Eagles Now. We have you covered with coverage every single day and great deals, like this Eagles Super Bowl hat being on sale for just $18 if you go to chatsports.com/Super Bowl hat. Kids and adult sizes available. Get yours today. And as always, thanks for watching.